Happy October, everyone! Yep, this year I'm Dipper Pines. This vest cost me $30, so if I do the same costume next year, I don't want to hear any complaints. A hat was a birthday gift from my brother. Anyway, we won't be doing anything Gravity Falls related because that makes too much sense. Instead, let's look at Cartoon Network.
Today is Cartoon Network's 30th birthday. God, can you believe it? They've definitely had an interesting history, and they've been responsible for some of my favorite cartoons of all time. Courage, Ed, Edd n Eddy, Regular Show, Powerpuff Girls, We Bare Bears, Billy and Mandy, Kids Next Door, Steven Universe. I have a lot of memories of this network, from watching Fridays every week to those city bumpers that they ran in the 2000s. Of the three main family channels, this was and still is my favorite. But they certainly have made some mistakes. Not necessarily releasing bad shows, every network is gonna have some crap, but dumb executive decisions. From canceling some well-liked shows due to them not selling enough toys, to airing shows way too much like Johnny Test and Teen Titans Go.
But any fan will tell you that the most embarrassing part of their history was way back in the late 2000s when Cartoon Network started airing live-action shows.
Now, technically, this wasn't the first time they did this. Space Ghost had some live action in it, and there was also Big Bag, which was a puppet show. And of course, Fridays had live action hosts. But around the mid-2000s, they started really pushing for more live action stuff. It started small with the Cartoon Network Theater playing movies like The Goonies and Jumanji, but then in 2006 they released Reanimated, a film about a boy named Jimmy who gets hit by a train and gets a brain transplant with some long dead cartoonist and starts seeing the cartoon characters he created. Everyone hated it, so of course 1 year later they started airing live action shows. It wasn't all bad, this was actually how I was introduced to Goosebumps. But around 2008 they began their infamous CN Real block. A block that most would consider the low point in Cartoon Network history. The Hero of Tomorrow has a great video covering all these shows, and looking back, when taken out of context that they were aired on a channel called Cartoon Network, most of the shows weren't that bad. Some of them were. My brother has a video on the Other Siders if you want to check that out. But if some of them aired on Nick or Disney Channel, they may have done okay.
However, there is one show that pretty much no one will stick up for, and that is the very first one, Out of Jimmy's Head.
Let's see if you can tell what's wrong with this picture.
I mentioned Reanimated, and this was its spin-off series. It didn't even last a year, but if you were to ask CN historians what is the worst show to ever air on the channel, many would probably say this. It was hated at the time and still hated now. There's no nostalgic resurgence for this. Everyone who was there at the time pretty much agrees that the show sucked. It was so hated that for a while most of the show was lost. And even today, only about half the episodes are available in English. However, given that today is Cartoon Network's 30th birthday, let's do what many people do when they hit 30, look back at our biggest fuck-ups.
But despite only having 20 episodes, they actually did manage a Halloween one called Ghosts. And it's in English, so for its 30th anniversary, let's see if this is really the worst show Cartoon Network ever did.
First note here, this episode was written by Tom Martin, who's done some work for The Simpsons, Clone High, and Word Girl. Also writing that live-action version of The Year Without a Santa Claus and Muppets Wizard of Oz. And the director is Gregory Hobson, who did episodes of Mighty Med, Zeke and Luther, That's So Raven, and like half of Even Stevens, including the movie. So they both have experience with cartoons and live-action cartoons. This has to be at least passable. I do actually kind of like the theme song to the show, but between this and the end credits to My Super Ex-Girlfriend, was this live-action head on cartoon bodies just a thing in the mid-2000s? So we begin with Jimmy and Craig, the kid who went from Asian to black, watching a scary movie with Robin, the other kid who went from Asian to black. Also, what's up with the Battlefield Earth vision?
Hey, you're making an impression. Now offer to help her. Chicks love that.
Man, it's been years, but it only took me 10 seconds to remember I hate your guts, golly.
Jimmy is scared, so he heads off for his room, and we then see the bad guy, whose name I can't remember, so give me a couple of seconds while I check Wikipedia. Sunny Appleday, that's right.
That way I can dedicate more of my life to what I truly care about. this ball and cup toy.
These are the jokes, people. The production values are on par with AVGN's Halloween episodes from around the same time, which I don't know if that's an insult to this show or a compliment to him. So he created a Frankenstein monster, which is ironic because Sweet Life of Zack and Cody also had a Frankenstein-inspired Halloween episode that aired 6 days before this did.
Spoiler alert, they did it better.
Jimmy hears Appleday's plan, and then he gets this awful special effect outside the school. And yeah, I know Ned's Declassifieds weren't any better, but that show had charm. For some reason, the lockers are opening and closing by themselves. Oh, and I wasn't kidding about the Battlefield Earth vision. The camera moves around all the damn time in this.
And this was originally in 3D.
Yeah, I remember October 2007, Cartoon Network had some 3D airings of some of their shows. The only one I remember for sure was for the Fosters' Halloween episode, Nightmare on Wilson Way. I remember because I couldn't find any 3D glasses and it was annoying watching without them. But I can't imagine sitting through this in 3D, and the same guy who did this also directed A Very Scary Story, which had some of the same camera movements, but they had a point.
And follow me to our very first art class. We finally freed up some money to put art back in the school, and all it took was getting the football team to give up their private jet for away games.
Oh yay, jokes about sports taking money away from other parts of the school, thus putting all the blame on people who like sports, as opposed to underfunding public schools.
Oh, that's my ice sculpting student. How's the swan coming?
If you could afford ice sculpting lessons, your art department is getting too much money.
Fly away, Hedwig, it's not too late to get out of this. Of course, the art room is a decrepit old shithole. Maybe shouldn't have wasted all that private jet money on ice sculpting lessons. There's an almost funny joke with Jimmy finding a skeleton, and it turns out Milt Appleday, the guy whose brain Jimmy has, was a student at the school and did art in this room.
Nice going, kid! You're finally drawing! Now, when Milt drew a character, he always made it look so great that every man, woman, and child on Earth loved it!
Well, no one on Earth loves you, so clearly he failed.
Thing from the Addams Family shows up. The effect is terrible, by the way. Oh, no, wait. It's Ubi. A bunch of disembodied body parts attack, but no one can see them except Jimmy. He finds Craig outside with what appears to be blood on him.
Ah! Ah! Ah!
Was it too much effort to just get real ketchup? You had to animate it?
Craig thinks Jimmy's psychic and can use this to make money.
You be crammed into a podium so you can secretly tell me what the ghosts are saying. Then I could amaze everyone with my psychic powers.
Why are you friends? Oh, by the way, the acting is terrible in this. And no, I don't blame the kids. He goes to Jimmy's dad, the counselor, who gets him a position. Oh, remember when I said this was originally in 3D?
But
Yeah, that is an awkward 15 years later.
it's all yours.
Great!
Bad joke, and then cut to that night at Jimmy's house. Tom Kenny Penguin says something dumb and unfunny before the ghosts show up and they hide in the closet.
Okay, so are they part of his mind or not? How did he close the door?
Alien sister, whose name I don't remember and don't care to look up, sets up the joke about having a facial and this makes Sunny think she's a zombie. You know, that joke. Okay, look how horribly edited this is.
Wow, one of the easiest scares in history. The first thing they teach you in horror class, and you fucked it up.
Craig continues being one of the worst things ever, but it does lead to one decent joke.
I got a message from the other side. Does your favorite sandwich have the initials of P, V, and J?
How could you know about my pastrami banana and jalapeno sandwich?
Can we follow this girl? She's actually funny and a decent actress.
You better be the real deal. This school doesn't take kindly to frauds.
Your mom's not a pro bowler!
Again, it just doesn't have the snappiness of Ned's Declassified.
Just relax.
These ghosts, they seem so real. Are you sure you can't see them?
Wait, you actually think they're ghosts? Like, I didn't even realize that's what they were doing. Of course they're cartoons. That's why only you can see them. I'm getting some small chuckles out of what Robin must be seeing. We see the cartoons, but she's just seeing him walk up and stare at the floor. It must look so weird.
Hey guys, what's going on?
Oops.
So, what does Robin see? Is Jimmy just standing there like blacked out?
Well, actually, yeah, but that comes later. He turns into a cartoon because the show is a joke, and we get some lame shenanigans, all with half the budget and half the talent of an average cartoon of the time.
Oh! No! I'm too lovable! TikToks instead!
Why is everyone in this show so terrible? I had to deal with enough of this in Love at First Hiccup. And then they find some old drawings.
I just figured it out. Those things aren't ghosts, they're cartoons.
Well, fuck.
They tell him to finish them, and for some reason he thinks that means to destroy them because every male in this world is stupid. Sunny is scared by a werewolf. Yeah, it turns out the alien sister is dating a werewolf. This show isn't cartoony, it's a game of Mad Libs. Hey, wasn't there supposed to be some Frankenstein monster in this? Well, it finally shows up, but first we gotta see Craig's show.
Someone's telling me something from the beyond.
Oh my god, I don't care.
Turns out it isn't a monster, but Appleday's secretary shows up with the drawings because nothing needs to make sense or have reasons to happen. As for the actual monster, it turns out there's a twist.
Victory!
I've failed you.
I know you're probably expecting me to be angry, but honestly, that was the best joke in the episode.
It's actually kind of a good twist, and knowing he was hanging around the whole time is pretty funny. I'm still not sure how Sunny thought sending a dwarf was a good idea, but fuck it. Jimmy prepares to destroy the drawings, but then realizes what everyone else did several minutes ago, that he's supposed to finish drawing them. So he does and creates this abomination.
Of course I'm a moose. Thank you, Father.
Every moment in my existence is agony.
Hey guys, so now that I'm a pro, how about I draw you?
You really don't know what your rules are, do you?
Also, I think Craig is raped.
Want to see what I can turn into?
Well, that was boring.
I mean, the characters are incredibly unlikable, the world doesn't make any sense with the rules or whether the toons can interact with the real world or constantly changing. It is horribly made with low production values, bad acting, and a slow pace that doesn't match the cartoony hijinks. But I could have handled all of that if it wasn't so ungodly boring. The plot is predictable, there's no good atmosphere, it's rarely funny, and despite being only 22 minutes, I felt like I was watching this for 2 hours. Honestly, despite the fact that this show had actual cartoons on it, other live-action kids shows of the time, like Ned's Declassified, Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, and every Dan Schneider show, did a better job being cartoony.
Alright, so now I guess I can see the clue for what my next review will be. Norty, no need to dread. Your next review is on the bed? What up with the rhyming? Guess we're not done with Cartoon Network just yet.
Till then, if I can make some new friends and not go off the